Hello and welcome back to the Kalopsia podcast. I'm your host, Sydney, and I'm so thankful that you guys came and joined on this week's episode, which is going to be on nightly routines and the power that there is behind them. Now, I just want to start out by saying I think I am getting a little bit sick or am currently sick, fighting off sickness, who knows, but if I'm speaking softly or sound nasally, that's why. Hopefully it doesn't affect the listening experience too much. I do apologize, but I want to be consistent and stick with you guys, so I'm here. But yeah, that's the reason why if I sound a bit quiet. But I wanted to start out with talking about my journey with going to sleep and my troubles with going to sleep at appropriate times, because it has been a true battle. So growing up, I feel like all the time I was staying up far too late, reading on my phone or on social media, doing whatever. I would be up until like 3 a.m. Constantly, hiding and like under my bed sheets. And it's like, why? Why is that happening? And back then, I kind of understood that I was kind of putting off the next day coming on, right? And it was kind of almost anxiety driven, where I was like, I don't want to have to go to school again, have to do this again and do that. So let me just extend this night, right? That's kind of the mentality that was behind it. Now, going into college, post-college life, I still found myself sustaining these same habits. And the thing about these routines and things that we do consistently for years, it's really hard to shake that, because you've been doing that for years. It's what your brain is comfortable doing. It's what you're used to doing. And so it's very, very easy to perpetrate. But the other week or whatever, a few months back, I was like, this has to change, like genuinely, because the way that I structure my days, I really like getting up really early. I don't want to be, waking up at 11 every day, waking up past 11 every day. I don't want that to be my reality. And so I was waking up at 9, but then every time I would wake up at 9, because I'd been going to bed at 2, 3, I'm not getting enough sleep. And so this was the same, I was going through the same thing again and again and again and again. And a few months go down and I'm like, I hate waking up. I hate the way I feel throughout my days. And I realized that it's because I was not getting enough sleep. And so with this new goal, right, of getting enough sleep, getting 8 hours of sleep minimum, right, now came a new mentality for me to approach my nightly routine and me trying to go to sleep. And I feel like it is difficult if you work in the service industry. Now I don't work in the service industry, but when I did, I was working 2 different jobs and my schedule was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I was working 4:30 to 11:30, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I was working like 6 to 2. So that was a really odd schedule for me to be working through, and like I had to get minimum or maximum like 5 hours of sleep at least 3 nights a week because of that schedule. So it is hard to do if your work schedule isn't facilitating a regular nightly routine. And I will give you guys leeway if that is kind of your reality. But the thing is that sleep is so important. Good quality sleep is going to not only reduce your stress in the next day, it's going to help you approach conflict better. I genuinely believe that I am a nicer human being when I get enough sleep. I'm not as quick to anger. I'm not as irritable. I am very calm. I'm in a generally good mood. It's harder to shake my good mood. It's a happier lifestyle when you have slept enough. And we have to think of ourselves almost as little toddlers, as little babies. Babies need sleep. They need sleep. Toddlers need sleep. And when they don't get enough sleep, they throw tantrums and they are not having a good time. And it's because they didn't sleep enough. We are the same. And it is a shocker that our society has made us feel like, I can get by on 6 hours, 5 hours. It's all for the capitalistic, wheel of like, get that bread, wake up early, clock in late, it's always that kind of mentality, but we need our sleep. We really do. And the key to having a good night's sleep and the key to having a good day the next day is your nightly routine. And I've done a lot of research on this, and I've watched a lot of videos, and all videos, or the general consensus to having a great night's sleep, is having a great nightly routine, always. The value of a nightly routine is really built on that consistency, because one amazing thing that I've noticed since I was able to adopt a stable nightly routine, or a semi-stable, time at which I'm going to sleep, is that my body clock automatically wakes me up around the same time in the morning. And I love that. There's not as much of those groggy mornings when I'm ripping myself out of my REM cycle in order to wake up for the day. That's not happening as much. If anything, I'm waking up before my alarm a lot of the time. And so the way that I've kind of tried to approach my nightly routine is that, okay, I want to get this amount of sleep. I want to get 9 hours of sleep, right, as a baseline. And if I like to wake up at 9, then that means that by 12, I need to be asleep, And so how can I facilitate that? Something that I do that could be an example, right, is that I try to let me go back a little bit. My new schedule at my new job has me home by 8 p.m., right? So if I get home by 8 p.m., that's dinner time. So I immediately eat dinner, then I socialize with my roommates, talk, chat, watch a movie or something like that. But by 10 o'clock, I want to be heading upstairs, and I want to be, pulling out a book or pulling out my crochet or doing something. But I just want myself to be in my room around 10:30, right? That's my goal. And keep in mind, these are late times, but I work at 2:30 p.m., So I don't need to be up by 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I can wake up at 9. So knowing that, I'm going to facilitate my winding down for the day so that I'm asleep by 12 a.m. And so not only is the value of nightly routines shown in this kind of consistency and in the facilitation of your body's winding down, right? In that example, if I am staying up, staying out, doing new projects, starting baking or doing something like that at 10:30 p.m., that's not going to help my body wind down. It's not going to help my body understand that it's almost time to go to sleep. Right? So what can you do instead? Typically you can have maybe like a peppermint tea or, pulling out a book, something that's going to make your brain slow down and understand, it's dark outside, I've eaten, I'm digesting, I'm having my cup of tea, maybe it's time for me to go to sleep. But also with that value, proposition of the consistency helping your body learn to wind down. Like we said, it's going to help you wake up easier in the morning. And why is that? It's because it's helping regulate your circadian rhythm. Research shows that maintaining a consistent pre-sleep routine or nightly routine is going to help you have a more consistent circadian rhythm, making it easier to fall asleep and also easier to stay asleep. A lot of the time we can wake up throughout the night having those cases of insomnia. That's going to happen less when you have this more consistent routine. And it's so interesting to think about how trainable our bodies are. Another big thing that always sticks in my mind is that 20-minute power naps are also training your brain to fall asleep faster, because if you set your timer for 20 minutes, your brain is almost under pressure to send you to sleep because it knows it only has this limited amount of time for you to be asleep, so it's going to try to get you to sleep faster. And the same kind of thing happens here. If you're telling your body, I need to go to bed at 11:30 every single night, when you see 11:15, 11:10, it's like, oh, I think I need to start going to bed. And then, you're going to fall asleep even faster. The other thing about having these kind of winding down activities implemented into your nightly routine is that it's going to reduce that sleep latency. So like we just said, having that regular circadian rhythm, it's going to take you so much less time to fall asleep, especially if you're doing something like reading when your brain is slowing down. Beyond that, empirical research has also shown that having this nightly routine, this consistent circadian rhythm, it's also going to help for mindfulness and relaxation. And it's actually also used in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomniacs. So this just shows how impactful nightly routines are, because they're even used as treatment methods for people who have insomnia. What I was actually surprised by is that having nightly routines and this kind of consistent sleep is also going to help you with your memory. Because a lot of our memory and long-term memories happens at night, the storing of them, it's not that shocking, right, to hear that you're going to have better memory consolidation when you are more consistent with your sleeping habits. Something else that I've become a little bit more interested in since I got an Apple Watch is my heart rate during my sleep. And something that was really interesting is that when you sleep, your heart rate drops significantly. And so when you are eating, or when you eat very close to the time at which you go to sleep, your heart rate actually fails to drop. And that failure to drop is going to impact your sleep quality. And so because of that, when you are, neglecting your nightly routine and trying to, shove a bunch of things all towards the end of when you're supposed to go to sleep, it's going to have negative impacts on your sleep routine. But when you are focusing on that, not only is your heart rate going to appropriately drop in order to facilitate a better sleep, but also you're going to have improved digestion and gut health. And we all know that gut health is the pillar of health. Gut health affects not only your mental health, but also your digestive health, and then also your hair, literally everything. Your gut means everything. Your immune system, everything. And so having that improved digestion, that improved gut health, all through, good sleeping habits, we see the value of nightly routines and the focus on our sleep. Now, the power behind nightly routines really comes out when it comes to what you can compound during this routine. A lot of good things can happen here, and we can use this time really wisely and also be facilitating better sleep. For example, we mentioned reading, but what if you also did some journaling? Or what if you took a little bit of extra time and did a skin mask, or a face mask, or some skincare? Or maybe you decide to try out a new, overnight heatless hair routine, things like that. There's a lot of different, almost self-care, like mindful activities that we can get up to that will also help facilitate the winding down at the end of the day. One nightly routine that I love to do is to completely change my lighting in my room. And a lot of the time I also won't change out of my pajamas until I know that, I'm kind of done for the day and that I just want to go upstairs and maybe pick up my book and do something like that. And so what will typically do is that when I get home, when I turn on my lights, I'll turn on my desk lamp, I'll turn on my overhead light, I'll turn on all the soft white lamps that I have. And then I'll keep my regular clothes on, I'll eat dinner, do whatever, and then eventually, when I'm ready to kind of wind down, I'll turn off my desk lamp, turn off all my big lamps, and turn on my little ones, my sunset lamp, my very calming ones, the ones that kind of make me want to burrow into bed. And then I'll also put on my sweatpants, put on a fuzzy sweater, do these kinds of things, right? So I'm literally implementing that day to night switch in my environment, and it's also going to help facilitate that kind of winding down in my brain. And so these are kinds of things that you can implement in so many different ways in your life, in your nightly routine. And the fun thing about these nightly routines is that you can completely tailor them to you. The only risk or traps when it comes to nightly routines, I feel like, is when we kind of overcompensate. We don't need to be so rigid when it comes to our nightly routines. A lot of the time, things aren't going to go as planned. Last night, I think I went to bed I went to bed early because I think I'm getting sick and I wanted to get like 10 hours of sleep, which I did. But I feel like it's very difficult sometimes to have things go exactly as scheduled, right, as planned. And we just need to understand that that's not going to happen. You don't want to stress yourself out when it comes to these routines, because that's going to do the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to wind down, we're trying to calm down. And so just understanding that not every day is going to look the same, but your consistent effort towards prioritizing your sleep stays the same. You're also going to have greater self-compassion. You're going to have better self-trust. And it's going to be super beneficial. Just don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to these routines. But I think the biggest thing when it comes to nightly routines and trying to fix your sleep schedule is changing the story that you tell yourself. And I feel like this is the biggest thing that I had to learn when it came to changing my nightly routine, because I was always under the understanding, or I would always tell myself the story that, I am a night owl. That's just who I am. That's how my brain works. That's how I work. And it was true for a little while. They say that teenagers typically, their circadian rhythms are more geared towards the night. They typically have a lot more energy at night and less energy in the mornings. That is something that is correlated with teenagers. But when I hit 21, 22, I can't really be telling myself that story anymore. And a lot of the time, our stories are what are perpetrating our reality. Our beliefs are what are perpetrating our reality. So if you constantly believe, I am incapable of waking up in the morning and feeling fresh, you're never going to wake up in the morning and feel fresh, because that's the belief that you're telling yourself. A lot of the time we have to look inside of ourselves and think, okay, listen, I am actually capable of anything. I'm capable of anything and everything. I'm capable of good. I'm capable of bad. I'm capable of greatness, and I'm capable of destruction. When it comes to your sleep, sure, you're capable of procrastinating your sleep, and you're capable of staying up until 4 a.m. and not waking up until 12. Yeah, maybe that's what you've been doing. But that doesn't have to be what you continue doing. That doesn't have to be what you continue to do. It's also possible for you to get to sleep by 11 and wake up by 7. That's also within your realm of possibilities. And so that's why it is so important for us to look inwards when it comes to any habits we want to build or leave behind. How attracted, or how much of your identity are you placing into this habit, right? And can you make that distinction clearer? Right? I am not a night owl. I had a night owl era. Maybe I can also be an early bird and have an early bird era. You are a product of your environment and a product of the choices that you make. And so who you are can change. And we just need to remember that. And I feel like a lot of the time we don't really look at sleep as being that important of a thing to be focusing on. But the truth is that it might actually transform your life simply by the amount of sleep that you're allowing yourself to get. Not only is your productivity going to double, but your stress levels are going to decrease. And less stress means better immune system, means happier lifestyle, and the benefits are endless. And so we just really need to think about these things when we're looking at our sleep, when we're looking at our habits. And I hope that you guys go home tonight, go to sleep, and maybe try something new, incorporate something new into your nightly routine and see how it makes you feel. And maybe you could even keep a journal, and throughout the week, how does that make you feel? And I think that's all I have for you guys this week. I think next week's episode I'm going to do on morning routines, because, that is really where I thrive. But I thought it would be nice to start it out with nightly routines before we head into the morning, because you cannot have a great morning routine without a good nightly routine. And so I stand by that. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed this week's episode. I'm sorry it's a bit short and my nasally softer voice today, but I still hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope it wasn't too frustrating. And as always, you can check out the video versions of the episodes on the YouTube channel. And don't forget to reach out at Kalopsia Pod, KALOPSIAPOD, on Instagram and TikTok, and then it's at Sydney Jotita, SYDNEYDJOTITA, on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And then you can find the episodes on there. But I've also started editing a vlog this week. I did a weekly vlog last week, so I'm still working on the edit for that, but it will all be on that YouTube channel, which is really exciting. I feel like I have abandoned, doing vlogs and doing YouTube videos far too many times, and I feel like it's time for me to get back into it since I'm not in school anymore. But I'm rambling now. I hope that you guys enjoyed the episode. I will see you next week, and I'm so thankful that you came to join us. Okay.